A woman gets a disgusting idea while making a chocolate cake. She scrapes all the dog poop from the bottom of her shoe and mixes it into the cake. After baking it, she takes the cake next door and knocks on her neighbor's door. The young man has only recently moved in, so he suspects nothing. He accepts the cake, smells a piece to check it, notices nothing unusual, and puts it into his mouth. Nicky watches him eat it as he accepts what he believes is her apology. Her actions come after several days of trouble with him. The problems began when the young man moved into the house next to Nicky. She paid little attention to him at first. After a long day at work, Nicky came home hoping to rest, but loud, heavy metal music started blasting from next door. Her new neighbor was having a party. Nicky was annoyed but decided to tolerate it. It was his first day there, and she assumed he wanted to celebrate moving in. She expected the party to end within a few hours. The music continued through the night, and at 4 in the morning, the party was still going. Nicky got almost no sleep. The next morning, she left for work exhausted. While crossing her lawn, she almost stepped in dog poop. One of her neighbor's friends had allowed a dog to leave it there without cleaning it up. Nicky had to get to work, so she left it for the moment. The lack of sleep affected her all day. After finishing another demanding shift, Nicky returned home, washed up, and prepared to sleep. The heavy metal music started again. Nicky did not want to repeat the previous night. She went next door and knocked on the door. Her neighbor looked intimidating, but he was surprisingly cooperative. Nicky explained that the music was too loud, and he told his friends to lower it. Nicky also mentioned the dog poop on her lawn. He agreed that it should not have happened and promised it would not happen again. Nicky returned home satisfied and believed the problem had been solved. The music was still audible from her bedroom, but it was quiet enough to sleep through. Nicky fell asleep from exhaustion. A few hours later, the music woke her again. It was 4 in the morning and the volume was even louder. Nicky lost her patience and went back to the neighbor's house. She reminded him of their earlier conversation and told him that people had to get up for work in the morning. His attitude had changed. He appeared intoxicated or under the influence and became aggressive, making it clear that he did not care about her complaint. Nicky realized that talking would not solve the problem and called the police. The police told her that they could not deal with it directly. A noise complaint had to go through the local authorities, and other nearby residents would need to complain as well. Nicky had no immediate solution. She took a pillow, got into her car, and drove to a quiet park. She managed to sleep for about an hour before a parking officer woke her after sunrise. Parking there required payment, so Nicky faced a fine. She recognized the officer as someone who had pursued her romantically in the past. Nicky hoped he might overlook the violation because they knew each other. Instead, he gave her a large parking ticket. Nicky came home from work that evening and found her neighbor even more confident because no police had appeared. He mocked her and started another party as soon as he saw her return. Nicky remembered what the police had said and asked other neighbors to join her complaint. None of them wanted to get involved. Her new neighbor looked troublesome, and most of them lived far enough away that the music did not bother them as much. They did not want to create problems for themselves. Nicky returned home with no support and endured the heavy metal music again. The beat became so constant that it started affecting her movements. While cutting vegetables, she found herself chopping in rhythm with the music. Several nights without proper sleep were making it difficult for Nicky to function. She knew another night like this could leave her unable to work. She thought about the parking officer who had once been interested in her and decided his home could give her somewhere quiet to sleep. Nicky contacted him and arranged to meet. The officer misunderstood her intentions. He thought she was interested in him and planned to take her out, have some drinks, and bring her back to his home. Nicky only wanted somewhere quiet to sleep. They went back to his house. He told Nicky to wait while he rushed into the bathroom to shower and get ready. When he came out, Nicky was already asleep. Nicky woke the next morning and was startled to see him wearing leopard print underwear. She quietly left before the situation became more awkward. A full night of sleep restored Nicky's energy. She returned home while her neighbor was still sleeping, took out her loudest lawnmower, and started making noise to disturb him. She had barely begun when she stepped on something. The dog had left another pile of poop on her lawn. Nicky decided she had had enough. She made a chocolate cake with a color that would hide what she planned to put inside it. She scraped the dog poop from her shoe, mixed it into the cake, and baked it. She took it next door and offered it as an apology. Her neighbor suspected nothing and ate it. Nicky also bought a pair of headphones online. She believed she had taken revenge and found a way to block the noise. In a better mood, she went home and spent time with her cat. That night, Nicky wore the headphones and could no longer hear the music clearly. Sleeping in them was uncomfortable, and the neighbor had made the music even louder. The bass was strong enough to make objects inside Nicky's home shake, including a glass of water. Nicky searched through her belongings and found an old key. Her parents had once lived in the house next door, and Nicky had been given a key so she could enter and help care for them. The same key still opened the house. Nicky decided to use it. The next day, she watched from her window until the neighbor left. Nicky took the key, opened his door, and slipped inside. She found the sound system and used a knife to puncture the speakers repeatedly. She then poured a full bottle of beer over the equipment used to play the music. Nicky returned home. The plan worked, and the music did not start that night. A knock on her door broke the silence. Her neighbor accused her of entering his house and destroying his property. Nicky denied it and threatened to call the police. He told her to go ahead because calling them could also expose her for entering his home and damaging his equipment. Nicky kept denying the accusation, but the neighbor had spoken to the landlord and learned that she had a key. Under pressure, Nicky pushed the key through the gap beneath the door. The neighbor took it but did not consider the matter finished. He told Nicky that she would have to pay for a replacement sound system and threatened her before leaving. The house remained quiet that night, but Nicky still could not sleep. She was afraid the neighbor might enter her home and retaliate. She stayed awake until morning. Nicky became so worried about meeting him outside that she was afraid to leave for work. She called her boss and took the day off. Her missing cat became an even bigger concern. Nicky had owned the cat for years and could not find it anywhere. She began to suspect that her neighbor was involved. Nicky then saw that he had ordered an even larger sound system. She received a note demanding $850 to cover the cost of the equipment she had destroyed. Nicky had no way to stop him, and the loud music returned. The parking officer came to Nicky's home carrying a gift because he still hoped to impress her. He heard the noise from next door, and Nicky explained that the neighbor had been keeping her awake for days. The officer decided to confront the neighbor despite Nicky trying to stop him. He went next door to prove himself. Nicky heard screams and sounds of a fight. She grabbed the box containing her savings and rushed over. The parking officer had been overpowered and hurt during the confrontation. Nicky gave the neighbor money so he would let the officer go and promised to get the remaining amount he demanded. Nicky was more concerned about her cat. She asked the neighbor to return it and told him that was all she wanted. He claimed he had never seen the cat and mocked her accusation. The embarrassed parking officer left. The party continued late into the night. Days without proper sleep had pushed Nicky close to her limit. The lights went out and the music stopped at the same moment. The neighborhood had lost power. Nicky fell onto her bed and tried to rest. She then heard what sounded like a cat. After listening closely, she realized the sound seemed to be coming from next door. The electricity came back and the music started again. Nicky was certain she had heard her cat. She climbed into her attic. The other side of the wall connected to her neighbor's attic. Nicky used the loud music to cover the noise as she broke through the wall. After considerable effort, she made an opening large enough to crawl through. Nicky entered the neighboring house and searched for her cat. She found it under a bed. The cat was dead. Nicky had lived with the cat for years and treated it like her own child. Finding it dead changed everything. She no longer cared only about the music or the money. She wanted revenge for what had happened to her cat. By morning, the party had ended. Nicky took a hammer and entered the neighboring house through the opening again. Her neighbor was asleep after partying all night and did not notice her. Nicky stood beside him, looked at his head, and slowly raised the hammer while trying to control her fear. A girl lying beside him turned toward Nicky. Nicky stopped. She recognized the girl but could not immediately remember from where. After seeing the girl's name among her belongings, Nicky realized who she was. Her mother was a well-known and intimidating woman in the area, and Nicky was sure the mother had no idea her daughter was there with this man. Nicky lowered the hammer and chose a different way to get revenge. She contacted the girl's mother and told her what was happening. The mother arrived with several large, intimidating men. Nicky did not need to confront the neighbor himself. She took a small stool outside, put on her headphones, and watched the confrontation. The girl's mother and the men with her took revenge on the neighbor. He was injured during the confrontation and eventually escaped.